Hi, everybody. It's Mr. D at In the Middle with Mr. D1 at blogspot.com. And I'm here today with Outschool parent Cassie. She has used Outschool for years and she knows a lot about it. And as you know, I have just been using it since about 2022 when I retired. And when I found it, I had no clue really what it was and what it could be. And Cassie has explored through all of that stuff. So I'm going to let her tell you a little bit about her background, and then we're going to dive pretty deeply in. All right, Cassie, tell me about when you started Outschool.
Yeah, I started work using Outschool like many others in the pandemic time period in about 2020, mid to late 2020. I am a homeschool parent. I'm in my 11th year of homeschooling my kids, so I'd heard of Outschool before, but it just had been one of those things I'd sort of explored and never really added to our homeschool life because we did so much outside of the house and we had so many activities. It was one of those things I hadn't quite jumped into. And then, like many others, we were stuck at home. So we kind of started diving into some of those, more unique things that we needed support with during that time period. But I do still use it as a part of my homeschool support for my kids. And we use it in various ways. So I'm excited to talk about that.
Yeah. And as a teacher, I had no clue how I could use it because I had created a curriculum called S Cube that my followers know about. And I thought, well, when I found it, I'm like, I can just teach S cubed on there. It's already a curriculum in place. And that was my thought. I don't have to develop anything. And then as I dug around more deeply, I realized, wow, okay, so I can teach a lot of different stuff. Like I love Broadway. So I started a Broadway discussion group, and we just get together and share a show that we love. And sometimes the students will present to me, and sometimes I'll present to them. And then I love getting kids ready for auditions. So I have helped several kids there. They're very focused kids usually that just want to get a role or whatever. And then I started teaching this class called Let's Say Gay because I'm an LGBTQ community member and I'm very passionate about the current events and the history, and I'm learning with the kids. Like it's great. Like I sometimes they suggest a topic, and then sometimes I will have a topic, and we've talked about things that you could not talk about in the public school classroom. And I'm really enjoying those classes right now. So, do you use it exclusively for your homeschool?
I don't. There are a lot of homeschool families who do and who use it exclusively, as a part of their or as their homeschool kind of core, and find the teachers that work for them. We actually have a lot of teachers who bundle classes and might teach like, first grade. And then they're getting all of the subjects with that one teacher in a single class that meets multiple times a week. I don't use it in that way. I choose to use it as a supplement. So we have done kind of everything from enrichment to core academics. So I have done, a self-paced writing class. So we're using that as a supplement to a part of our language arts curriculum. I have done tutoring. So we've done one-on-one tutoring on the platform, which we have some fantastic tutors. And I think that's one of the benefits of tutoring on Outschool is you really can hand pick the tutor that you need and want for a specific subject or even for your specific child's learning style and needs. I have a neurodiverse daughter who needs a very specific type of teacher to speak to her and to get, her creative juices flowing, especially in a subject like math that she just despises and thinks there's no point to math in the world. So I think that's a huge benefit to Outschool and one of the ways I have used it in my homeschool life. And then sometimes we use it just to kind of deep dive into a topic that my kids are interested in. They've done during the pandemic, we were doing some ancient civilization things and we wanted to kind of find a more hands-on activity. So they took, I can't remember now if it was like 6 or 8 weeks, but they took like a 6, 8 week like unit study style class on ancient Egypt where they mummified a chicken leg. And every week they were in the backyard changing out the salt and observing how the leg had changed and the smell and all the things. And at the same time, we're learning about the culture of ancient Egypt and the games kids played and all of that kind of thing. So we kind of use it in an eclectic way where we are picking and choosing. And, there might be a time period where we're really just doing all the fun stuff on Outschool. And then there's other time periods where we're really focusing on academic or mixing the two.
I was a public school teacher for 30 years, so I taught music and chorus, and that was my lane. And so this really, when I was done, I was done. Like I was ready to be done. And so teaching here, it just feels like I'm not done. Like there's more that I can do, and there's more, and that's what I want to like. Most of my followers are teachers in the public school classroom. So how are you seeing public school parents or private school parents use Outschool for their students?
Yeah, I mean, in a number of ways. So we serve not just homeschoolers. The tutoring is a great example of public school or, families who are in other forms of education, whether that be private or a micro school or an online school, will come to Outschool because they need tutoring support that maybe that their school isn't able to provide or isn't providing in a time period that works for them. Um, so that's one way. I mean, we have a lot of like social clubs, like you have a social club. So
Mhm.
we see a lot of students who are in a more traditional school setting who are coming here for that social aspect on a topic they're really interested in or they want support in. There's like Dungeons and Dragons classes, which I apologize to all the Dungeons and Dragons people because I don't know a lot about it. But there's like classes where like there's whole games campaigns. I don't exactly know what they're called, but like where it's going on from class to class to class, and they've built this whole
Mhm.
universe and world, and they're coming together to kind of get that fun time together. But it's overseen, by a teacher who's been background checked and is approved on the platform. So
Right.
so we see families using it in a lot of ways, even just as summer bridge classes where they're bridging from one grade to another, and maybe they need to take like a multiplication boot camp. Those types of things we see. And then we have just so many unique class topics that are not necessarily being offered in public schools today. We have
Mhm.
music classes, we have classes
Yeah.
about Broadway, we have cooking classes, we've got social emotional health type classes. We've got, I mean, it's kind of the running joke in my house, like you think it up, it probably exists on Outschool. And so you can find math through Minecraft. So we have that traditional like sixth grade math that's probably going to be more for the homeschool family who needs that core. But we also have these kind of support classes for academic subjects that can really benefit kids who are in a more traditional school setting where they're like going to a building, 5 days a week, kind of a thing. And I also wanted to note, because you touched on this, is that we do have a lot of educators on the platform who are former classroom teachers. So
Mhm.
that's a huge thing, that there's a ton of credentialed teachers on the platform who have either found like a second career after
Mhm.
retirement, teaching, or who still teach actively and maybe teach like one or two classes on the weekend. And we even
Mhm.
have teachers who've made it their full-time career.
Yeah, it's really good because you don't have to leave, right? And when I retired, I was looking I want to be able to be where I want to be when I want to be there, and still, if I want to do this while I'm gone, I can do it. So I was looking at some of the other. I remember when I first joined, I was trying to network with teachers, and they
Mm.
had Outschool had some training, not training, it was like networking basically. And this group of teachers would meet every Monday at 3 o'clock or whatever, and they would talk about what their goals are as they try to build their business. And I met a teacher on there named Dr. Cafferly, and he
Oh
teaches,
yeah.
he has a GSA club on there, a Gay Straight Alliance, I guess is what it used to be called. And I'm not sure if that's the current title, but he was gracious and invited me onto his class, into his classroom, where I
Mm.
told my coming out story. And I remember he had this group of probably, oh God, I don't know, 14 or 15 kids that he sees weekly, some of them twice weekly in a different club. And it was a wonderful, supportive environment for those kids. And they obviously adored him and adored that class. And it was very special for me to get invited into it as I was learning what Outschool was and what it could be. And that
Mm.
GSA class is there still, and he's running it,
Yeah,
and he's doing a great job. So you do know him?
I do. Yes, I
Yeah.
exactly know who you're talking about. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
great.
yeah, he's
Yeah.
doing a great job. So we've covered about the public school, private school, people can use it. We have a variety of ways. I'm trying to think of any other ways. Oh, I forgot to mention a promo code. For if you're hearing this for the first time, I meant to do this at the start, but I'll put it on my links. If you've never tried Outschool, there's you can have a promo code that is mine. I'll include it in some links here. It's my referral code is Mr. Dunca 2020. I don't know what that is, but it'll be in some links here. Can you tell me with your children, how many children do you have?
Three.
Oh my.
Yeah.
What are their ages?
My oldest is 16, and
All
then I
right.
have twins that are 12.
Wow. And what is your 12-year-old twins' favorite classes?
Huh.
What are they?
So they
Of
couldn't
all
be,
time.
yeah, they couldn't be more different. So,
Mhm.
my one daughter is a super animal lover, wants to probably be a vet or do something working with animals at some point. So, I would say her favorite class, she took a series of classes, Introduction to Veterinary Science on the platform, taught by a veterinarian. So,
Mhm.
firsthand experience type of a thing. And she did, a series where one was a set of classes on domestic animals, and one was a set of classes on like farm and larger animals. And they had, diagnosed the problem with the animal, learning about kind of those things and those creative juices flowing. So I would say those were her favorite classes. And then my other daughter, the other twin is neurodiverse. So she is autistic and has a couple other, needs. And for her, she takes place and she's been in this class now for a year, I think. Similarly to some of the classes you were talking about with Dr. Kai, like she does a Friday morning class, that's this cat detective class where it's, they're coming together, they're solving mysteries, there's some academic-y themes involved, but it's not necessarily focused on any one subject. But she just loves it, and she takes it with her bestie, who doesn't live in town. So it's also a great way for kids to connect, who don't live in the same community, a friend who's moved away or someone else like that. That friend lives a couple hours away, and they don't get to see each other in person all that often. So it's a great way for them to kind of have this weekly touch point, where they're doing something that's learning based and fun.
Awesome. And then your older student, 16, favorite
She's
class
not
right
used
now?
the platform as much.
Okay.
She actually, I live in California, and she actually lives in another state. She is a full-time student at a pre-professional ballet program. Um,
Wow.
Yeah, so we miss her terribly. And but she kind of is doing way less of the, she does do like an online school program, but it's kind of a little bit more traditional in terms of the
Mhm.
setup. It's just that it's online, because her needs are so different at this point.
Yeah.
I will say probably one of the favorite things that historically she did on Outschool, because she's not really active on the platform much anymore, is, a few years back, we put on a community event, that we offered for free, to learners, that was a Holocaust survivor who came and spoke, to learners and talked about her experience and, what had happened to her family and her, and kind of post World War II life. And that was a really, touching and engaging and an incredible experience that my daughter still talks about. And that was a number of years ago. So I'd
Mhm.
say that's probably her favorite thing on the
Mhm.
platform.
If you were, because a lot of my followers will not know it much, if anything, about Outschool. If
Mhm.
you were a new parent and you were using this promo code or some other promo code and you signed up for Outschool, and how do you go about searching for your classes? What is that like?
Yeah.
I can tell you from a teacher's perspective once you've told this about what it was like for me to create mine, but go ahead and tell a little
Yeah.
bit about that.
So your search experience is going to be a little different if you have an Outschool account versus if you don't.
Mhm.
If you have an account and you've added your learner to the account, we're going to help kind of curate the search function for you by suggesting, like only searching classes that your child's age falls into. So if you've
Mhm.
got a 10-year-old, we're not going to like show you classes for a 17-year-old.
Mhm.
Those kinds of things. And then from there, you can take it and really like dial down. Do you want a live class versus an asynchronous class? Because we offer both. Are you looking for a one-on-one class? And then we'll only show you one-on-one classes. Are you looking for group class? You can narrow down to focus in terms of what days and times you want to have that class. Maybe you're a traditional schooler and you only want stuff on the weekends. Maybe you're a homeschooler and you want your classes to be 9 a.m. Monday through Friday. So you can kind of search based on the time and the day of the week that you want. You can even pick like the start date that you're kind of looking for. And then you can also, of course, search by subject. So maybe you just want you just want a math class. So you could
Mhm.
only search math classes. And then there's the keyword functionality. Similarly to using any search engine online, you can type in, algebra or whatever kind of specialized topic you're looking for. And then we'll populate class suggestions and then you can go from there. Most teachers offer more than one section of their class. Some do, some don't. But then once you click into that class, you'll be able to see, a class description. You'll be able to click on the teacher admin page, see the video. Like you have a wonderful intro video of yourself on your admin page, where you can listen to the teacher talk about who they are, what they teach, why they teach, see a listing of every single class they offer. So if you really find a teacher your child resonates with, you can really just dive deep into their classes, and see what days and times they offer those classes. So there's a lot of things, if you're taking a more academic class, there's a syllabus posted before you ever register and pay for the class so that you can see, okay, is this going to touch, maybe you've got a high school student and you're really wanting to make sure they touch certain standards. You'll be able to kind of look at that syllabus first before you register. One of my pro tips on Outschool is to message teachers before you register if you have any questions about their class. I do this frequently with a neurodiverse learner because, like I said earlier, she really requires a specific kind of teacher. And while we've had some great teachers on Outschool, there have been occasion where they weren't the best fit for her.
Yeah.
And so I now take the time to message, especially for those academic subjects. It's a little less important for her for like the fun stuff, but for
Mhm.
those academic subjects where she struggles to begin with, um, I highly recommend messaging a teacher and saying, hey, here's my student, here's their needs, here's the level I think they're kind of at. Do you think this would be a good fit? And I've
Yeah.
had, teachers respond and go, absolutely, I think this would be wonderful. Thank you for telling me. So I kind of know, she might need XYZ. And I've had other teachers go, actually, I think this other class of mine would be a better fit. Or
Mhm.
even suggest another teacher as being like,
Yeah.
hey, I like you were talking about how Dr. Kai, like, hey, I know this other teacher on the platform who might be a better option for you. So our teachers are fabulous and they really just want the best for students. So they're always willing to kind of help guide you if you have a question about if a class is the best fit.
Yeah, the best part for me was that I could pick and choose, as I mentioned earlier, what I wanted to teach, and just I don't need this for me personally to be my full-time living, but I want to connect with more kids, and this
Right.
was interesting about the search. So what I'm hearing from you is having an account helps you find what you need for your student. Uh,
Yeah,
is
you can definitely search the platform without an account. So
yeah,
that
yeah,
is definitely possible, but it definitely having that account helps kind of curate what is being searched
yeah.
because at the time of account creation when you're adding your kids to your account, you're adding how old they are. And
Hmm.
so that really just helps the focus from the get-go, focus on classes that are only going to meet, our classes have an age range. So, and
Hmm.
teachers can set that. We are a marketplace. It's up to you to set what your age range is. So you
Hmm.
might see a class that's like age, because we serve ages 3 to 18 on the platform. So you might see a
Hmm.
class that says ages 3 to 18 or 5 to 18 because it's a tutoring class and it's going to be
Hmm.
customized to that student. Um,
Hmm.
but if it's a group class, it's probably going to have a range that's much, much shorter.
Yeah.
And then
Mhm.
you can kind of find, I appreciate that age range too. I mean, that's one of the
Yeah.
reasons I homeschool. Life is made up of meeting with people who are not our same age, right?
Right.
So you can find that class where they're with kids who are a similar, age range, but a range, and then find
Hmm.
classes that fit best. But yeah, definitely my suggestion is creating in that account, getting
Yeah.
that referral code from you,
Right. Yeah.
and using that to help find the best options.
Yeah. I've gotten emails from parents asking me if they thought this would be a good fit, and sometimes it is, and sometimes it isn't. And that's another thing from a teacher perspective that you want what's best for the kids, right? And
Yeah.
having taught public school for a long time, I enjoyed my students a lot, but there were some students that, of course, we didn't really connect. And in Outschool, you can from a teacher perspective make some decisions about whether that's going to work for the kid, and it always has to be about them. They are not forced to be with you,
Yeah.
right? And it makes it a more joyful experience. When I first started on Outschool, thanks for mentioning that video, I did spend a lot of time on class descriptions, getting them approved. It doesn't take long. Outschool's very responsive. And on my videos, I made sure because I felt like, I would want, if I were a parent, I would want to see and feel that teacher and the energy so that I would see, do I think this is going to be a good fit? And so those are great suggestions. And I feel like we've covered pretty much everything I want to cover here today. And I really
Awesome.
want to thank you very much for your time. I've learned from you a bit more about Outschool as well. So thank you, Cassie.
You're
Um,
welcome.
and I'll see you, I guess, in Outschool in some future event, maybe, because I know your work there as well. So
Yeah.
thank you very much again.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.